अद्य स्थिरवासरः दिनाङ्कः 11 द्वितीयस्य मासस्य विष्णुमङ्गलाचरणं रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमू रामाय तस्मै नमः रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर राम रामेति रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं राम नाम वरानने श्रीराम नाम वरानन ओं नम इति अथ श्री माहेश्वर सूत्राणि अ इ उण् रुल्रक ए ओंग ऐ औच हयवरट लण् अङ्यमङ्ग न नम जबैं गडदश जब गडदश कफ च ठ थ च ट थव कपै श श सर हल इति माहेश्वर सूत्राणि. So one more time, this is 11th of February. This is the first part, Vyakarana Vibhagah. Usual announcements is that this class is based on the daily posts which you get every day, almost every day. So we only give, the class is only like a summary. Daily post will give you all the details and the examples to follow. And as always, if you see any errors, any comments, let us know. We'll make the corrections or the improvements. And anything we say in the class is only Vichara Moolam. It is not the Siddhanta Bhutam. It is not the ultimate word. It's only to be pending verification from Siddhanta Kaumudi or Mahabhashya, like that. And as usual, thank you to Ravi and Vasu for being regular recordings, and Kalpesh, and of course Kumud and Radha and Yulia for the daily posts. Okay, so with that, let us start. Now, last time we had done this, introduced Anuprayoga lit, which we saw several examples. Several examples we have seen already. Like we did the form Darshayamasa in the last class. Now recall that the pratyaya am which comes in here has been prescribed. The sutram which we learned last time was 3.135. Cast pratyayad amamantrality. In fact, we took a vartikam on that, which extended that sutram to, instead of saying pratyayad, it says, here it is from last class, kasyanekacha amvaktavyo liti. So that was a vartikam under 3.135, which I have been using, which said that this dhatu kastra shabdakutsayam, I think it means to cough, and any dhatu which is anekach, when lit pratyaya comes after such a dhatu, then the pratyaya am comes in there. When the am comes in there, of course, we saw that by amaha, that lit takes look, and so we don't get the liti dhatu runabhyasasya, all that does not happen. We get a second dhatu, kru, bhu, or as in connection with that, and we get those kind of forms. Now today, we're going to look at one more sutram. Again, we cannot take every sutram in the class. We will take more in the daily posts as we go along. So this is the section. The section is from 3.135 to 3.139. There are 5 rules over here. So if you see a pratyaya am is come in the lit prayagaha, the section that you want to go to is 3.135, 3.139. Of course, the 3.135 is the most used, because any anekash dhatu, particularly those which are in the causative, nijanta dhatavaha, tebhya amsya liti. So like in Gita, only 3.135 is used, darshayamasa, ashvasayamasa, like that. But that's not the only one. There are 4 more rules. We will take one in the class today. The others you can take for homework, and because they're very similar. So let's take one more rule when the pratyaya am comes, and that's 3.136. 3.136 and 3.137, 38, 39. We will take later on in the post, or if you want to do some homework, you can take. They're going to be very similar to what we're going to today, 3.136. Okay, so what is 3.136? Ijadeshcha gurumaton nricha. So ijadehe gurumataha anricha. See, any sutram that you see, you do the padacheda, try to get the vibhakti of every term in there, and then also look at the vritti, because the vritti will demystify the sutram for you. It will give you a simple sentence to understand the sutram. And you can then, of course, you can try to go deep into the vritti and see why the vritti is phrased the way it is, because that includes the anuvritti and anything else that might be coming in there. So don't forget that we are in the adhikara of dhatoho. Dhatoho, because dhatoho starts from back here in 3.122. So this is, and we also in the adhikara of pratyaha parascha. These adhikaras are very important ashtadhyayi. You cannot master grammar. It's very difficult to master grammar without knowing the ashtadhyayi territory. Ashtadhyayaha jnanam avashakyam. So to get the pandityam and vyakaranam, you have to know the adhikara of ashtadhyayi. So that is one thing we try to do in this class a lot, is that the danger of doing what we are doing, which what everybody does almost today, is studying the prakriya kramaha. According to Siddhanta Kaumudi or Laghu Siddhanta Kaumudi, is that don't forget the Ashtadhyayi sequence. That is the primary sequence, because based on that only these other texts are being composed. Okay, so we are in the adhikara of pratyaha and parascha. We also in adhikara of dhatoho. Reason why it's very useful is that if you want to find the sutram quickly, which you may not know exactly, but you will know roundabout it is here. Like I tell you, it's like going to a new region, a new city. You know, you may not know every road in the city, but if you know a few roads and a few houses, you've already been there. Now, if you're going to want to go one more street across, it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. But if you don't know the map at all, you know, then it's difficult to find that house. So here we already know with dhatu adhikara, we know where pratyam is coming. We know there are only 5 rules over here. So am is no longer a mystery for us anymore, because we know where to come to look at am. Okay, so ijadeshcha gurumato nrichaha. So this is so dhatoho. These are panchamis now. So ijadehe. Let's look at what the vritti says. What the vritti says is that from the vritti you can back out what the vibhakti in the sutra is, the sutram is, because the vritti will include that. So vritti says that ijadir yo dhatuhu guruman anrichyati, richyatyanyah tataha. So it's panchami. So following such a dhatu, which is ij adi. Ij means what? Any vowel except the avarnaha, because and rulak, etc. up to a ong I ouch. So ij means any vowel except the avarnaha. So ijadi. First question that the dhatu should be a ij adi dhatu. Should be a guruman. What is guru? Guru, we have already learned that a guru is a dirgha or a rasva which is sanyoge, with a sanyoga following to that. So these are coming in 1.4 of the Ashtadhyayi. 1.4 of the Ashtadhyayi says that sanyoge guru dirghancha. Sanyoge guru dirghan. Very simple rules is rasam laghu, sanyoge guru dirghancha. So a rasva vowel is laghu. The sanyas of rasva and dirgha are in isolation. They don't care about what is following, etc. So a rasvakara will always be a rasvakara no matter what. But laghu and guru are based on the context. So depending on what is following. So a rasva vowel will be laghu unless it is followed by a sanyoga, in which the rasva will become a guru. The dirgha is always guru. The dirgha is always guru. But the rasva, depending on what is following, will be laghu or guru. If a sanyukta vyanjanam is following, if there is a conjunct consonant following, rasva vowel gets the sanya of guru. Otherwise, it's a sanya of laghu. So this is what guru means here. So means it's either a long vowel or a short vowel followed by sanyoga. So it says that guruman richyatyanyah. It should not be the dhatu richyati. Richyati is studhadiganaha. Dhatu richya gatindriya pralaya murti bhaveshu 6.16. So barring this dhatu richya, because in the dhatu richya you can see the rukara is a guru, because the sanyoga, the chakara sanyoga parataha vartate. So it is following. So the rukara, this dhatu richya would have otherwise qualified, obviously, for this rule to apply. But specifically Pani says anrichaha. So it should be richyatyanyaha. So I think by this time in the class, these sutras should be quite easy for us to understand and look at. That's the idea of the class, is to make it, to get you to a stage where you can study on your own. And sometime in the next year or so, you should get to that stage. Even now, where you can basically understand most of the basic points on your own. And then once in a while, of course, you have a question, then we can discuss that. So it says that ijadir yo dhatu, the dhatu which becomes the ich letter, which is any vowel except the avarnaha. Guruman has to have a guru. That should be a guru. Means either a long vowel or a short vowel which is followed by sanyogaha. Richatyannaha, not this dhatu, rich dhatu. Tataha, following such a dhatu, am syat liti. When lit follows such a dhatu, then am comes in between there. So following the dhatu, prior to the lit comes this am pratyaha. Of course, am we just saw last time. Let's take an example now. So when lit follows, the affix am is prescribed to dhatu. Other than this dhatu richa, that begins with the each letter, and it should be a guru. Okay, now let's take dhatu edha vruddhau. This edha vruddhau is the very second dhatu in dhatu patha. Of course, the first dhatu we already know, bhusattayam. Second dhatu is edha vruddhau. If we take the lit karti prayagaha, pratham purusha ekavachanam, the first few steps are always straightforward. You take the pratyaya lit in the sense of parokshe lit. So bhutarthe anadyatane parokshe lit. Let's not forget that before, one thing please keep in mind, when you add any pratyaya from chapter 3, 4 or 5, keep in mind in what meaning the pratyaya is coming in, because you may get the form, edhan, chakre or whatever it might be, but what does that mean? This meaning depends, of course, the meaning of the dhatu or maybe pratipadikam, but it depends a lot on which pratyaya is being used over there. So what does lit mean? In which meaning, what is the meaning conveyed? I mean, that's the idea of the language, is to convey a certain meaning. So lit conveys action done in the past, which is not of today, and which has not been experienced by the speaker. That is when the lit pratyaya comes. So that comes in this adhikara, of course, which we already have studied, is the bhute adhikara, starts from 3 to 84, and within that comes anadyatane. Anadyatane comes here because of anadyatane lang, and then parokshe lit. Parokshe lit. Always keep the ashtadhyayi by your side, please. Do not leave the ashtadhyayi. And as you get more and more confidence, try to connect to where you are in the ashtadhyayi. It's not that difficult. You can try to look where you are. Get more and more comfortable with the ashtadhyayi. That will be when you will not be afraid of grammar anymore. After that point, you are not afraid of grammar anymore, because you know it is all based on the ashtadhyayi. So, and of course the vartikam, etc. So, okay. So if you take dhatu edha vruddhau, of course the ending akara is upadesha jananasika it, and then pratyaya lit comes here, parokshe lit. Now all the conditions, always check all the conditions like a lawyer. I know Dihenkar ji from India has joined us. Welcome to him. See, he's a lawyer, I know that. So just like a lawyer or a judge would check every single condition in a case, you check every single condition to make sure that your case satisfies, what is required by the law. And the law is Ashtadhyayi over here. The Supreme Court is the Ashtadhyayi over here. So actually you can say Mahabhashyam with the Ashtadhyayi maybe. So then just check dhatu edha. It is ich adi, because it's a ekara is a ich, because of so eon rilruk eong I ouch. So eong, so it's there, and it's a guruman, because the a o I o are always dirgha, and dirgha is always guru. So it's a guruman. So then all the conditions are satisfied. So then we add a pratyaya am. So once am is added, we're going to follow similar steps what we did last time for darshayamas, etc. But it's going to be one little complication here, not complication, one little change. First of all, when we add am, let's not forget that all the lakaras, including lit, they have the sanya of kridating. Any sutram, please repeat it many times till you are no longer unfamiliar with that. So make the sutra your own by repeating it many times. Also is a mark of respect for Panini and the great acharyas. Please repeat the sutram as many times as that's the best use of your time learning Vyakaranam, is repeat the sutram, because that has been optimized for literally thousands of years to give us the knowledge as best as possible. So Kridating says that from 3193 onwards, the pratyas which are prescribed, they get the Krisanya, but not the ting pratyaha. So not the Tiptajdi, those 18. So any pratyaya, any lakara which is prescribed over here, all of them, so whether it is lat or lit or lut or lut, whatever it may be, they all have the Krisanya. But then when the Tiptajdi comes in their place, then there's no more Kritsanya because it's Krid Ating. So right now lit has a Kritsanya. So then what happens is Amaha, which we saw in the last class, Amaha para luksyat. So lit takes look. Look means the entire pratyaya is gone. Because pratyaya se luk shlu lupaha. Because pratyasya luk shlu lupaha. Let's not forget that also. When luk, shlu and lup, the entire pratyaya is gone. There's no alontyasya, anything like that. So pratyasya luk shlu lupa, what Panini says. So pratyasya means that entire pratyaya is gone. There's no point of looking at like alontyasya and anekachya sarvasya, nothing like that. Luk means the entire pratyaya is gone. Luk, shlu or lup. So the entire lit pratyaya is gone. And now Edham gets the, then we get the Pradipadika Sanya because of Krit Tadhita Samasascha and Pratyaya Lope Pratyaya Lakshanam. Pratyaya Lope Pratyaya Lakshanam. By 1162, Pratyaya Lopa leaves a Lakshanam behind. It leaves a trace behind, so to speak. So that Edham is now a Pratipadikam because it is a Kridantam, Kridanta Rupam. So because Krit Tadhita Samasascha, then immediately Pratipadikam means nothing can be done with that unless you add the Suvavjas. Because immediately when Panini starts 411, Pratipadika, the first thing he says is Suvavjas. So nothing can be done with the Pratipadikam until you add the Suvavjas. So here we have the default Pratyaya Su, we add, and then that also takes look by Amaha. And so we have Edham again. Now what happens is that we saw last time Krincha Anuprayujyate Liti. Krincha Anuprayujyate Liti. Now we have to use the dhatu kru, bhu or as with its own lit pratyaha following this amantam. So pratipadikam. So we get now, right now we have been using mostly bhu and as so far, mainly as. Of course, as is most commonly used. Bhu and kru are used less commonly. They are also used. In Bhagavad Gita, only as is used anuprayoga, not bhu or kru. But we will look at all of them. Now what happens is that, let's take an example where if we use a dhatu as or bhu anuprayoga, the form will be edham asa, edham babhuva. Nothing much complicated. I think we know that already. So to get the form edham asa or edham babhuva, very straightforward. Now let's consider the case where kru is used. So any one of those three can be used. So in anuprayoga. So edham kru plus lit, which we saw last time, because in this sutram, which we discussed last time, krinsha anuprayujyate liti, that kri is a pratyahara. The pratyahara kru, bhu and as. Okay. So, and that pratyahara, which we already have discussed in the daily comments, is from 5450, which time in kru from here up to the nyakaraha up to here, the kri pratyahara is formed. So now we get the form edham asa, edham babhuva. But now what happens when kru is added? The question comes is that which padam should we use atmane padam or parasmay padam when the kru dhatu has come? Because kru dhatu itself is because dikrin karane, it is ubhaypadi because of 1372. Swaritagnataha kartravipraya kriyaphale. But now this is anuprayoga. So now can we just make kru ubhaypadi everywhere in this anuprayoga, or does it depend on which dhatu is prior to it with the am pratyaya? And the answer is Panini gives is 1363. Panini says that am pratyayavat kriyonu prayogasya. Am pratyayavat. Every new sutram, repeat it at least 10 times, at minimum 10 times. Am pratyayavat kriyonu prayogasya. Am pratyayavat kriyonu prayogasya. What that means is that am prakritya tulyam anuprayujyamanat kriya api atmane padam. which means that kriya api atmanepadam. So atmanepadam will come after dhatu kru, which is anuprayujyamanat, which is an anuprayogaha. So following a kru which is an anuprayogaha, atmanepadam will only come exactly in the same way with tulyam, as it comes after the dhatu to which am was added. Am prakritya. So am pratyaya is a bahuvrihi over here. Is that it is the dhatu to which am was added. That's the one little small complication in the sutram, is am pratyaya refers to the dhatu to which the pratyaya am was added. So am pratyaya, what means like? So like the dhatu to which am was added, which is in this case edha. We added am to edha, following edha I should say. So that am pratyaya in this case is the edha dhatu. So what it means is that whenever edha takes atmanepadam, at that time the dhatu kru anuprayoga will take atmanepadam. So what this means is that the anuprayoga anuprayukta dhatu kru will obey the padam of the dhatu to which am was added. That's the bottom line. Is that whenever that dhatu to which am was added takes atmanepadam, at the same time only this anuprayoga anuprayujyamana dhatu kruin will take atmanepadam. So what that means is that basically if the dhatu to which am was added, in this case edha, is atmanepadi, then the kru will only be atmanepadi anuprayoga. If the dhatu is parasmepadi, then the kru anuprayoga will be parasmepadi. So ubhayapadi will be ubhayapadi. So when, one more time, is that the verbal root rikrim karane, when subjoined as an auxiliary anuprayujyamanaha, takes atmanepada pratyaya in the same manner as the dhatu to which am was added, which means that it can only take atmanepadam when the dhatu to which am was added take atmanepadam. Means what does that mean? That translates to a simple meaning that dhatu kru in anuprayogaha will basically obey the padam. It will obey the padam of the dhatu to which am was added. In this case, edha, you can look at edha dhatu in the dhatu pahataha, see what swara it has. So in the dhatu pahata, if you look at the second dhatu, edha vruddhav, it is a anudatta it edha. So because of 1-3-12, anudatta gnita atmanepadam, this dhatu is atmanepadi, which means that even though dhatu kru is ubhayapadi, doesn't matter. If it's in anuprayogaha, anuprayujyamanaha, in that case it depends, it has to obey the atmanepadam or prasyapadam of the dhatu to which am was added. So now kriya can only take atmanepadam. Why? Because it is in anuprayogaha with the dhatu edha, which is atmanepadi. So now what happens is that, so one more time the vritti says am prakritya tulyam. Am prakritya means a dhatu to which am was added, because prakriti means that is the base to which a pratyaya is called prakriti. Prakriti is the base to which a pratyaya is added. So the prakriti for am is this dhatu edha. So taya tulyam means in accordance with that dhatu ed, which is the prakriti for the am. Anuprayujyamanat kriya api atmanepadam. The same way the kriya has to obey that. So now, and I put the note over here that the dhatu to which am is added is atmanepadi, parasmepadi, ubhayapadi, and correspondingly the dhatu kru in anuprayoga will be atmanepadi, parasmepadi, ubhayapadi. Now what? Now by the way, let's mind one thing. In this sutram 1363, that kri is not a pratyahara. In 1363, this is only the dhatu kri. Dikrin karane. This is not a pratyahara. It is just a single dhatu dikrin karane. Now what about bhu and us? What is going to happen to them? They will take only, because they are both parasipadi. Parasipadi now, dhatu. So they will continue to take the parasipadam as they take. Regardless of the dhatu to which am was added, the bhu and the as, which is anuprajyamanav. So, and then tabhyam prasyapadam eva syat. So they will stay prasyapadam. Prasyapadam only they will take. So bhu and us, there's no issue. You don't have to check who is behind them. Who's behind them? Bhu and us will only take prasyapadam in the when they use in anuprayoga, like they always take. And one more reminder is that we are only talking about kartri prayoga. Kartri prayoga in the passive. In the passive, because of 1, 3, 13, bhava karmanoho, always atmane padam. In the, one more time, we said this many times in the class, in the passive means in the bhava karmanoho by 1, 3, 13. So all this discussion is only for the active voice. In the passive, there is no discussion. There is no discussion at all, because the 1, 3, 13 says bhava karmanoho. So no matter what dhatu, what lakara, what you have, if it is passive, bhava karmanoho says only atmane padam. So all this discussion is only for kartari prayogaha. So one last time, in kartari prayogaha, if the dhatu kru is used anuprajyamana as an auxiliary dhatu, it will obey the padam, atmane padam, prasyapadam of the dhatu to which am was added. If bhu or as is used, they will continue to be only prasyapadam. They'll take only prasyapadam like they always do. And this is only for kartari prayogaha. In karmani, nothing to discuss. It's always atmane padam, no matter what dhatu, anuprayoga, doesn't matter anything. Atmane padam. So let's continue with the example now. So then what happens is that because the dhatu edha is anudatta dhatu, anudatta swaraha, so then we get, because of 1, 3, 12, anudatta gnita atmane padam, we get the atmane pratyaya over here. So now we add the pratyaya ta. Tangana atmane padam, tangana atmane padam. Vivaksha pratham purusha ekvachanam, so we add the pratyaya, of course anubandha lopaha, at pratyaya ta is added, and then we get the form chakre. Now these steps we already seen in the daily examples. In fact, chakre is already discussed in detail in the January 10th example, so we won't go to the steps again today. Limited time in the class. So if you want to practice that, you can go and look at all the steps of a chakre. We derived chakre already a few times here, so it is already given in all detail. So we can assume that we know how to derive chakre now. So when we get kru plus ta, we get the form chakre, and then becomes, then of course the only last thing is that monuswaraha padantasya makarasya haliparataha anuswaradesha. So we get the anuswaradesha, and then of course we get the vapadantasya. So pakshika pararupam. So we'll get two forms, idhan chakre and idhan chakre. Idhan chakre, when you get the chavarika panchamaha, so we'll get anuswaraha or parastavarnaha. So that was the example here. Now, so that completes our discussion of the am pratyaya in brief. So as I would suggest that for you is, if you can try to just look at the remaining 3-4 rules over here, which is 31, 37, 38, 39, 40. They also give some dhatus which take the pratyaya am when lit follows. Okay. This one we will not take all of them in the class, but they will, again, it's a list of dhatus basically which take am. Some of them take optionally, etc. So anyway, so that completes this discussion of the am pratyaya. So am means, think of 3135 up to 3139. Then of course 3140 krinchanu prajyate liti. And if you are using dhatu kru, then think of 1363 am pratyayavat. Oh yes, yeah.
What is it?
1 second. Yes, Chitra.
Yeah, in Karmani Bhave Prayoge, would As and Bhu also take Atmani to the ending, and how would they be like? How would they look like?
Yeah, they will look ase, Darshayam ase. And I think it should be Babhuve, I would think. Yes, it should be Babhuve.
Would they take the yak?
No, yak is only Sarvadhatu.
Sarvadhatu, okay.
Correct. So that yak will not come, but you will get the pratyaya ta only. Then let us tajo reshirech. So it will be if someone, if it's a passive use, so you will get ase. I think it should get babhuve also, should be sounds right. Yeah. So pratyaya will become A basically. Otherwise everything else will stay the same.
Okay.
Yes, Vasu.
Yatha Chakre, what is the English meaning?
What is the what? What's the meaning?
English meaning, yeah.
English meaning means that he, she, it grew or increased in size. So it is because the dhatu meaning is that the dhatu meaning is where you have it, vruddhav, eda vruddhav. So that's what.
So it is simply like a tree. A tree grows or a boy grows. It is the Atmani Padam. Okay.
So Edan Chakra means he, she, it once upon a time grew in size or grew. That's it. So that's what Edan Chakra means. So it's simply lit progress. It's a past tense, not of today, and it's third person singular. So he, she, it grew. Okay, and that action was not experienced by the speaker. Now let's look at a small section here, which is an important section which I'll introduce today, and we will see it repeatedly in the future, and that's a section called Ardha Dhatuke. This is our first trip to this new country in the Ashtadhyayi. This is our first excursion to get your passports and visas with you, because we are going to a new country in the Ashtadhyayi. We are going to a country called Ardha Dhatuke. Now, right off the bat, remember we had another Ardha Dhatuke, which we have already used a few times, but that was in the Angasya Adhikaraha. Angasya Adhikaraha. So Ardha Dhatuke. Ardha Dhatuke, Angasya Adhikaraha. So do not confuse this with that. Okay? Do not confuse this with that. So that Ardha Dhatuke was giving some Anga Karyam. And then so that was now when the pratyaya already was added, then the Anga Karyam was being given at that time, Ardha Dhatuke. But the exact same sutram, Ardha Dhatuke, is now coming in the 2.4. By the way, I just checked that the babhuve is correct. Okay, so should be edham ase edam babhuve in the passive. Darshayam ase, darshayam babhuve, darshayan chakre in the passive. Okay, in the passive. Okay, so now what is this Ardha Dhatuke now? This Ardha Dhatuke is an adhikaraha, which Panini, it is outside the Angasya adhikaraha, where Panini is given dhatu nirdeshaha. So in the place of dhatus, he says adesh, I should say. So dhatu nam sthane adeshaha. So he's going to tell us this is what, like if you look at the dictionary of apte, etc., these are so-called defective dhatus. They're not defective as such. All that means that in certain situations, when a pratyaya has sanya of ardha dhatukam following, they will change completely. They will transform. They will be replaced. They'll take a replacement. So let's take a look at what's adhikara. So it's the adhikara of in 2.4 of Ardha Dhatuke. So when the intention is to add a pratyaya which has sanya of Ardha Dhatukam, just remind ourselves, Ardha Dhatukam Sheshaha. So Ting Shit Sarva Dhatukam, Ardha Dhatukam Sheshaha, and Litcha. So let's not forget our sanyas. They're very, very important. So 3-4, we had the sutram Ting Shit Sarva Dhatukam, Ardha Dhatukam Sheshaha, and Litcha so far we have studied. So coming back to this adhikar of 2.4.35 Ardha Dhatuke is that when the intention, even before you actually add it, if you have the intention of adding a pratyaya which has sanya of Ardha Dhatukam, then you have to check this adhikaraha to see if the dhatu may be replaced out completely and completely change its form to something else. And that adhikar of Ardha Dhatuke goes up to 57. So from to 2.4.57, and from 2.4.58 starts the look prakaranam, the look. So for example, the sutras of, which we have been using, the Adhiprabhudibhyashapaha, which we have used, and we have used Jyotyadibhyashluho, we just use the sutram Amaha. So they are in the look, adhikara of look. Anuvritti of look goes from 2458 down to towards the end of 2.4. Anuvritti of look goes from down there. So basically this right before the adhikara of look comes the adhikara of ardhadhatu. Okay, in fact, in today's class, we're going to look at the last sutram in 2.4. The remaining, this last sutram we're going to see later on in the class today. But anyway, so right now let us take our entry in the adhikara of ardhadhatu. Okay, so one more time, this adhikara is going to tell us that certain dhatus, when the intention is to add adharka pratyaya, they will change. They will be replaced by something else. It's a very simple adhikara in that sense. Of course, there might be some more conditions there, because for example, there might be only when pratyaya lung follows, when this follows. So that's extra. That's extra. But as a starting point of the adhikara is that when the intention is to add a pratyaya which has a sanya of ardhadhatukam, then the dhatu is going to change to something. Let's look at the first sutram here. Let's do 440. Litya anyatarasyam. Litya anyatarasyam. Liti anyatarasyam. Litya anyatarasyam. Of course, the anuvritti is required here. This is the classic case of if you don't know the anuvritti, it's very hard to figure out what is going on. And the anuvritti of adaha and ghasl is coming down, which means in place of dhatu ad, put the adesha of ghasl optionally when lit follows. When lit follows. So the meaning is very simple. If you take the dhatu ada, which is ada bhakshane, it is in the first dhatu in the adadigana, of course, which you have studied, atti, etc. It becomes in lat lakara. If you add the lit pratyaya, then that other will take the adesh of ghasl optionally. That's all this means. It's very simple sutram. Is that this particular dhatu optionally changes to ghasl when lit follows. So now what happens is that, so this is our first sutram in this adhikara of ardhadhatu. Okay. Now why didn't we take this all this time so far? How come we're taking it only now? Because as we said before in the class, is the pratyas, shap, pashan, shna, all of those which we looked at, they had a sanya of sarvadhatukam. Because of ting, shit, sarvadhatukam. So we are just only now looking at more and more pratyas, particularly because of litya sutram, they have sanya of ardhadhatukam. So now we have to start looking at situations of what happens when you want to add or you have added a pratyaya sanya of ardhadhatukam. So that's why we are taking this now. We did not need this when we are talking about lat lakara or lot lakara or lung lakara or the vidiling. We did not need this because at that time we know shap or the apavada of shap are going to come. So that time we not require this. So okay, so now what? Let's look at the example. So very simple sutram. Lityanyatarasyam adaha ghasl vasyat liti is optional. Anyatarasyam optional. So the verbal root other bhakshane is optionally replaced by ghasl when lit follows. So let's take a look at the example. Other plus lit, and what happens is that pakshe means you get the ghasl adesha. Check the conditions. We do have the dhatu adabhakshane. We do have a lit following. So then we're going to make the ghasra adesha optionally. Always make it a habit, please. Is that just like a lawyer? Check every condition. Every condition. You'll be surprised how many times you'll miss something. You'll miss something, even something really simple which you assumed it is not there. Okay. So, and again, this is a mark of respect for the vrittikaraha. Bhattuji particularly, Bhattu Dikshita. Thanks to him, Vyakaranam is alive today, so to speak. So read the vritti and then check the conditions. So adaha ghaslu vasyat liti. So when this other bhakshana is followed by lit, it is ghasl. Of course, the ghasl, the ending rikara is an it by upadesha junanasika it. So then we get the anubandha lopaha for the lit becomes la, ghasl becomes ghas. Then the tip tasji. Right now we're looking at the vivaksha of Pratham Purusha Bahuvachanam. Again, this is all Kartari Prayoga we're looking at right now. So we get the Pratyaya Ji because that is the Bahuvachana Pratyaya. And then what happens is that we get the Adesha Us, which is nothing surprising for us we've seen many examples. Again, thanks to Kumud and Radha and Yulia for the examples. Is that because of Prasyapadanam, Nalatus, Talatus, Nalvamaha. And one more time as a reminder, is lit is going to be almost always third person. Almost always third person. So if you're thinking about lit, unless you look at a rare situation, in Gita only in one place, with third person. So nal atus us. Pratya us comes, and now of course because of the nabhaktau tusmaha, the ending sakar of us does not get the itsanya. So now we get liti dhatu anabhyasasya. Let's not forget one more thing, the pratyaya us has the kit, is a kit pratyaya because of asanyoga lit kit. Asanyoga lit kit, which comes right after sarvadhatukam apit. Those are very important rules. Very important rules is which we have used, of course, repeatedly we have used them, is 124, 125, sarvadhatukam apit. In asanyoga litcha. So asanyoga lit kit. Asanyoga lit kit. Asanyoga lit kit. So asanyoga lit kit. Now why do I put them together like that? Because asanyogat apit lit kit syat. The anuvritti of apit comes from 1 to 4 into 1 to 5. That's why I told you this ashtadhyayi kramaha is the moola kramaha. That's the moola shastra. So keep that. If you just look at Siddhanta Kaumudi Singh, that is very good. But the condition of apit comes immediately down from 1 to 4, which is well known to us. Sarvadhatukam apit has been used extensively by us. So immediately from that next sutram asanyogat lit kit. So asanyogat apit lit kit syat. This was one of my teacher's favorite sutras. So apit lit kit syat. So don't forget apit lit kit syat. So right now we have us. Us is apit and it is a lit pratyaya, of course. So it becomes kit. Now if you can remember this sutram now, 6498, see now what happens is that, see all these rules which you have been studying, you get a chance to practice them now. Unless you practice, you cannot appreciate these rules. So we have used Gama, Hana, Jana, Khana, Ghasam, Lopa, Kinityanangi. When we derive from Gnanti, when you take the dhatu Han in Lat Lakara, and we had the Pratyaya G following, at that time we did the Akar Lopaha. So by this rule, Gama, Hana, Jana, Khana, Ghasam, Lopaha, Kinityangi. We also use this sutram in the Lakara lit when we get the form Jagmuhu, Jagmatuhu and Jagmuhu. So we have used this sutram. So please recall that even though we may not use all part of the rules immediately, we have to keep it in mind that we will be revisiting these over and over again. So at that time we did not worry about this ghas. We not encountered ghas as yet over there, but now we have. So same sutra, Gama, Hana, Jana, Khana, Ghasam, Lopaha, Kinityanangi. So the pratyaya us is kit. It is not the pratyaya ang. It says anangi. Lopaha, upadhaya lopaha. Upadha lopaha. So now, upadha is coming down from here. Upadhaya lopaha. So now that wants to come and do the akara lopaha. But don't forget dirvachane chi. So ajadesho na ditve kartavye. We have the ukara of us, which is the nimittam for the abhyasa because of liti dhatu anabhyasasya. And that same ukara of us is the basis on which we are trying to do a akara lopaha in the angam. That has to wait. That has to put on hold. Ditve kartavye, only until ditvam is done. So until ditvam is done, the 6498 has to stand in line. It cannot come because it is based on the ukara, which is also the nimittam for the abhyasaha. So even though 6490 is applicable here itself, it has to wait. So first we have, because of 159, dirvachanechi, which we have seen extensively prior to this class. So first we do the abhyasa karyam, iti dhatu anabhyasasya. Of course we will do the haladisheshaha, we'll do the kuhoshchuho, and we get ja, ghas, us. Now we can allow 6498, which is gama, hana, jana, khana, ghasam, lopa, kinityanangi. So now we do the upada akar lopaha. Now we get ja, gha, sa, us. Now what happens is that at this point we want to make this sakaraha, dantyaha, into a murdhanya adeshaha. But we cannot do that by 8359. Adesha pratyaya yoho. Adesha pratyaya yoho cannot be used here. Because as the sutram itself says, that sutram only applies when the sakara is either an adesha or pratyaya avayavaha. Pratyasya avayavaha. This sakara came as the avayava of the adesha ghasl. So this sakara is neither a adesha. So remember, if it's an adesha, it has to be the entire adesha. One more time. To use 8359, adesha pratyaya yoho. Okay, it has to be, the sakara should be the entire adesha. It is a part of a adesha here, because ghaslu was the adesha. So that is not good enough to use 8359. To use 8359, the sakara has to come itself as a single adesha, as the entire adesha. It should not be adeshasya avayavaha. So that's one condition. Or it has to be pratyasya avayavaha. Clearly, ghaslu is not a pratyaya here. Ghaslu is only an adesha in place of adabhakshane. So 8359 cannot be used here. The sakara is not the entire adesha. It is not also the part of pratyaya. But we do want to make the murdhanya shakara adesha. So for that is why Panini has a special sutram now, which is right after adesha pratyaya yoho. When you look at this sutram, 8360, immediately you know the entire context, because you know the prior rule very well. You have a very good friend next door, because we have lived next door a lot. So you just come into the next house now. Just come to the next house, because we have used adesha pratyaya yoho extensively. So this means there must be the same kind of operations taking place, little bit of extension, just like an extension to the same house, you know. So if you look from the perspective of 8359, it's very easy to understand 8360, because you already know. Let's go to a section now. So when you go there, you will see anuvritti of in koho is coming down there. In koho is coming down. In koho, and then we know the apadantasya murdhanya is coming down here. So we are going to be doing a murdhanya adesha. We are going to be doing it when the letter, the in pratyahara or a cover letter precedes. But who's going to be doing it to whom? Shasi, Vasi, Ghasinancha. Shasi, Vasi, Ghasinan. These are three dhatus. So the sakara of these dhatus, they will also qualify to take the murdhanya adesha under the proper condition. The condition being that there has to be a in prior to it or a kavarga consonant prior to it. So one more time. Shasi, Vasi, Ghasinancha. The sutram says that in kubhyam, so following a letter of the in pratyahara, and that in goes all the way up to hayavarat lan, starting from e up to hayavarat lan, up to there. Parasya esham sakarasya means shasi, vasi, ghasinam. So the sakara belonging to one of these three dhatus. Murdhanya adeshasya, shakara adeshasyat. So one last time, if a sakara belongs to the dhatu shas, vas, or ghasl, one of these three, and if the condition of the in letter preceding or the kavarga letter preceding, kavarga means kakagaganya is there, then it will take the murdhanya adesha. Now very quickly, in Bhagavad Gita, always keep the Gita as a playback in your mind at all times. And this is one favorite shloka in the Gita is there, which uses a sutram. So in chapter 4, when you chant chapter 6 of Gita next time, you chant chapter 6 of Gita next time, think of this sutram. Shasi, Vasi, Ghasinancha. Ushitva Shashvati Samaha. This comes over here. Shuchinam, here it is. Prapcha Punyakrutan Lokan Ushitva Shashvati Samaha. Shuchinam Shrimatangehe Yoga Brashto Vijayate. Because Arjuna complains that, what happens to Yoga Bhrashta? He's neither here nor there. He is Ubhay Bhrashta. But Sri Krishna says no. Says that Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Vijayate. And that also Prapya Punyakrutan Lokan Ushitva Shashvati Sama. Anyway, it is not Gita class. But the Ushitva is the Dhatu Was. Having dwelt in the world of the meritorious for a long time, for many years, then he comes in a very good Janma. So Ushitva. So this we don't derive all this entire form today because we have not done this pratyaya yet in detail. But this form Ushitva, the Dhatu Was, is used in that. So Ushitva is the same sutram, Shasi Vasi Gasinancha. Okay, so what do we have right now? We have Gha Sa. This Ghakara is a Kavarga because Ka Ka Ga Gha Ka Ka Ga Gha. So now check all the conditions, please. We have the Sakara of Ghas preceded by a letter of the Kavargaha. We can take the Murdhanyadesha. Actually, prior to that, we can finish off the Ruttu Visarga. So remember, the Tripadi, we cannot look back. We can only look forward. So we have to keep on applying the sutras in order. So we'll first do Sasajisho, Ruho, and Karavasana Yor, Visajaniyaha. Then we will use Shasi Vasi Gasina. Sakara belonging to the Dhatu Shas or Vas or the Ghas. So Ghas is listed in the Dhatu Pata as well. Ghaslu Adane. Or it can be this Ghas which came as an Adesha for Adabhakshane. In any case, whichever way Ghas you have, either from Dhatu Pata directly was an Adesha for Adabhakshane, then that Sakara of Ghas also qualifies for the Murdhanyadesha. So then we do the Murdhanyadesha in only Sandhi Karyam now, which we do first of all we do the Abhyasa Charcha. In the Abhyasa, the Mahaprana becomes Alpaprana, and then we do Kharicha. In place of Ghakara, put the cover, the Charra Adesha by Kharicha. These are only Sandhi rules, Sandhi rule. So Jakshu, form Jakshu. So one more time, and of course this Adesha of Ghasli was optional. Anyatarasyam. When Ghasli is not applied, you get the form Aduhu. Straightforward form. By Ata Adehe, etc., we get the form Aduhu. Just like we get the form Asa and Asuhu, similarly we get Aduhu. Because we'll get two forms, Jakshu and Aduhu. So one last time, when this Adabhakshane is followed by Lit, then optionally becomes Ghasl, and then what happens is that you get the Akar Lopaha by 6498 in this case, because of Gama, Hana, Jana, Khana, Kasam, Lopaha, Kinityarangi, because Uspratyaya is a Kit by Asanyoga, Lit Kit. And then, excuse me for a second, please. I'm sorry. Wrong numbers. Yes, who are you looking for? You're the wrong numbers. I'm sorry. I got a wrong number phone call. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, so then we got the Akar Lopaha, and then to make the Murdhanya Shakara Adesha, we did we used Shasi Vasi Gasinancha, and then the Kharicha, we got Jakshuho. Now, let's look at two more rules from this section. Very, very straightforward, simple rules. Aster Bhuhu and Bhruvo Vachihi. Very simple rule, because all this says is Ardhadhatuke. So when the intention is to add a pratyaya, which sanya of Ardhadhatukam, then the dhatu As Bhuvi takes the Bhu Adesha. And similarly, when the intention is to add a pratyaya which is sanya of Ardhadhatukam, when the intention is such, even before you add the pratyaya, the dhatu Bru will become Vacha. So there's no vritti, this just says Ardhadhatuke. Now let's recall that by Litcha Sutram 34115, we know that Litadesha, Tipadayaha, they will only get a sanya of Ardhadhatukam in spite of things shits Ardhadhatukam. When they come in place of lit, then these tip, etc., they get the sanya of Ardhadhatukam, because Pani specifically says Litcha in 34115. Now the fact that we know that, then if you're going to add the pratyaya lit, we're going to be adding, and we do know Litcha Sutram, then immediately the Dhatu As will be replaced by Bhu. So if you want to take Dhatu As and we want to figure out Lit Prayoga for that, immediately because of ardha dhatu. Okay, we know lit pratyas are ardhatuka pratyas by sutram litcha 34115. So we'll make the bhu adesha and we get the form babhuva. Of course, from bhu to babhuva we've now derived many times how bhu becomes babhuva. So we also had the daily examples a few times. So, but the only thing I'm trying to point out here is that the dhatu as will immediately change, will be replaced by bhu whenever the intention is to add a pratyaya which is ardha dhatu kam. Now, I know what you're thinking now. Then what about our darshayamas and all that? Then what about over there? At that time, why did we not do this? Because that time also we added as plus lit. So as should become bhu there also. But the answer to that is vachana samarthya. Because Panini is saying krinchanu tvajyate liti. As they say, this ashtadhyayi is like, these rules have to be used intelligently, not mechanically. So Panini assumes that you are going to make sense of the whole picture and not mechanically just force these rules when they don't make any sense. So the fact that Panini is saying that kru, bhu and as can be used in anuprayoga, there's no point of saying that as can be anuprayoga when as is going to become bhu. So the statement that as can be used in anuprayoga has no meaning. If you're going to replace as by bhu, then what's the point of saying that as can be used in anuprayoga? So by that, vachana samarthyam, the fact that Panini has said that kru, bhu, as may be used in anuprayoga, then that means that the as has to stay as as in anuprayoga only. So that's the only place where this aster bhu does not apply. Because the special mention of us being used in anuprayoga, if we start applying aster bhu there also, then as becomes bhu. There's no point saying that kru, bhu, as can be used. You might as well say kru and bhu can be used. So that is one situation where aster bhu is set aside to honor the statement that in anuprayoga krincha anuprayogatility. So otherwise, everywhere else, if the intention is to add if the intention is to add a pratyaya which is ardha dhatukam, then immediately as becomes bhu, and similarly bru becomes vach. Same thing, bruvo vachihi. In place of bru, vach comes as adesha. So when the intention is to add a ardhaka pratyaya, the bru is replaced by vach. So when you want to make a take the lit lakara, lit prayogaha dhatu bru, it will become uvacha. It will become uvacha. It will not become anything else because immediately the bru will become vach. So these are two rules. Again, this is only introduction today. We're going to see this. We're going to see this adhikara many times because we're going to be seeing a lot of situations now going forward where we will be adding a pratyaya which is a nyaf ardha dhatukam. We have not done that too much so far. We'll be doing it more and more as we go forward. So remember this adhikara of ardha dhatuke, please. Today was our first trip. Today was only tourist visa. Today we only came on tourist visa. We had our first trip around the city over here. So we've looked at this only one sutram here. We looked at Litkinatarasyam for other become Ghasula Nitarasyam, and we also visited these two sutras, Aster Bhuho and Bhuho Vachi. Okay, so let's continue now. So these two sutras only tell us that when the pratyaya falling is going to be ardhatukam, then as becomes bhu and bru becomes vach. So we'll get the form babhuva and uvacha respectively. Now we're going to close this topic of lit today. Okay. Of course, we cannot take every sutram in the class. I think you have enough of an idea now to be able to explore on your own. And to the daily examples, we will of course add some details as we go along. But now we're going to move on to a completely switch gears right now and go to the topic of lut. Why we're going to lut lakara now? In the alphabetical order. The alphabetical order is lut, lit, lut, rut, lot, lung, ling, means of course vidiling ashir ling, and then lung and rung. Now we broke that order. We took the lut, lot, lung, vidiling together for convenience because of course first of all, as far as in the mind of Panini there is no order. He gives them all in his own way. But in this parampara, in the Dhatu Vritti and Siddhanta Kaumudi, the order is in the alphabetical lakara order. Lat, lit, lut, lut, lot, lung, ling, which includes Vidiling, Ashirling, and then lung and rung. But we in this class took lat, lot, lung and Vidiling together because the Anga Karyam Samanam is the same Anga Karyam. So that is why for convenience we grouped those four together, took them together. Well, once that was done, now we are going to the alphabetical order. So we took lit first, and now we are going to lut. In terms of usage, the lut is much more popular than the lut. These are both future tenses. They're both future tenses. What's called lut and rut. The rut is much more common, but we are not going by that. We are going by the alphabetical order of lut, lit, lut, rut. So today we'll take a look at the lut lakara. Maybe next class, maybe the class after that, we take a rut lakara. For example, we take dhatu bhu. In lakara lut it will become bhavita. In lakara lut it will become bhavishyati. The bhavishyati is of course much more common, but bhavita does come in Gita in chapter 2. Bhavita van bhuyaha. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. So nayam bhutva bhavita van bhuyaha comes in Gita chapter 2. When you chant chapter 2 of Gita next time, when you chant the shlokaha, so nayam bhutva bhavita van bhuyaha. So bhavita, that bhavita, in fact it's the same chapter 2 of Gita. Tada gantasi nirvedam shotto vyasashutasya cha. So gantasi and bhavita. So the Bhagavad Gita does have lut prayogas in there, but compared to lut they'll be much less. So anyway, let's take a look at this now. First of all, look at the number 3315. We have mentioned in the class we have mentioned is that in the kalanukramena, in the order of time, Panini has given nicely in the Adhikara of Ashtadhyayi from 3 to 84, which we have been studying. We have the Bhute Adhikaraha, and that Panini stops right. Of course, we have already used the Anajatane Lang. We just use Parokshe Lit. We have used, and that Adhikaraha stops right before Vartamane Lat, which of course we have used Vartamane Lat, and that goes up to the beginning of 3.3. And then Panini starts Bhavishyati. So we are now going to enter into this also new Adhikara for today. So get a new new visa now. Bring your passport and your bags. We're going to go for a trip into a new Adhikara. The Adhikara is Bhavishyati. And in this class, it's a short Adhikara. It's a small country. It's a small country. Because Bhavishyati only goes for a short time, for about 10-15 rules, not more than that. It's a future tense. So that Adhikara, but we are going to use a sutram today from the Adhikara. So we are going to start, Bhavishyati starts from 333. So very, very convenient to remember. 333. One more time. Adhikara is Bhavishyati Gamyadayaha. Goes from 333 to 3315. In fact, today we're going to take only one sutram for that. Anadyatane lutta. Now look at the sutram. It's very, very similar. Very, very similar to a sutram in the Bhute Adhikara, which of course we know. Anadyatane lang. So very similar. In fact, this should be very straightforward now for you. Is that there's not much difference. It should be very straightforward. So Anadyatane lutta. But this one, so now you know why it is so important to know where you are in Ashtadhyayi. If you look just outside the Ashtadhyayi, you see Anadyatane lang, Anadyatane lut. Now you don't know which is which now. But you understand clearly Anadyatane lang is 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. Now that comes Adhikara Bhute. Anadyatane lut comes in 3, 315. That's the last sutram, Adhikara Bhavishyati. But if you don't know that, if you just look at the sutram as it is, Anadyatane lang, Anadyatane lut. You have no idea what is what. So we have to look at the proper context of the Ashtadhyayi. That's what in this class we always keep on repeating is please, please keep the Ashtadhyayi by your side. So Anadyatane lung which we have been using is in the Bhute Adhikara. Starts from 384. Right now the Sutram Anadyatane lut in the Bhavishyati Adhikara, and that starts from 333 to 3315. The vritti is going to be very similar. Is that Bhavishyati Anadyatane arthe dhato lut syat. Bhavishyati anadyatane arthe dhato lut syat. Bhavishyati anadyatane arthe dhato lut syat. So you have to chant the sutra slowly. Bhavishyati anadyatane arthe dhato lut syat. Okay, I got it right finally. So in the future tense, but not of today, not the immediate future, lut should be used after dhatu. Very simple meaning. So if you take, so the affix lut, just like we had lung in the past tense, we have lut in the future tense. So it's a future, but not the immediate future. So it's in Gita, Nayam Bhutva Bhavitavana Bhuyaha. So this Atma or this Brahma is not such that it was once, it's not going to be there after some time. That Bhavita is very nice to use in Gita. It's a long time from now. It's not like is going to disappear somewhere. Nayam bhuta bhavitavana bhuyaha. So, and so that is in Gita. So anyway, Ratna Vyakaranam is that this is a future tense, not the immediate future. If you take the dhatu bhu, the first dhatu, and now by this time the first 2-3 steps should be very straightforward for us. Add the pratyaya lut with the usual reminder when you add any pratyaya. Please keep in mind in kasmin arthe, in what meaning is pratyaya coming. So this pratyaya is coming in the sense of a future tense, not the immediate future, not of today. Then of course you do the anubandha lopaha by upadeshajanasika et halantyam dasya lopaha tiptaji. The Vivaksha rightness Pratham Purusha Ekavachanam tip comes, and of course we do the Anubandha Lopa there also, Halantyam Tasya Lopaha, and now should come Kartari Shap. Now it's time for Kartari Shap. But something different happens here. In fact, it's good news. It's good news because we're going to get a Pratyaya, regardless of which Gana the Dhatu, it doesn't matter. We're going to get the same Pratyaya and all, it's not Gana dependent. So it's going to be very good news. So no matter which Gana Dhatu is, if it's going to be the Pratyaya lut following, then our job is done. Because the next sutram says, Syatasi lutoho. Syatasi is Dvivachanam. So these two Pratyayas. Look at the number please, 3133. We just studied 3135, 36. We just finished 3136. Now we're showing 3133, the same adhikara of dhatoho. So we know exactly what to expect. Because we adhikara pratyaya parascha and dhatoho. So, and we also have saptavi dvivachanam here, r lutoho. So when r follows, the pratyasya comes after a dhatu. It's all dhatoho dhatu. Don't forget dhatoho, okay? Because dhatu starts from 3122. So this is after a dhatu. The pratyasya will come if the r follows. That r is not today's topic, but that r is a abbreviated reference to both the rit and the rung. We'll be studying this maybe in the next class or class after that. So let's leave this for today. We'll come back to this. But the second thing is tasi. The syatasi is like hari, dvivachanam. Prathama dvivachanam. So means that these two dual, so come respectively. When r follows, sya comes. And when lut follows, tasi comes. So right now for us we don't have r, so we'll forget about that part for today. We'll come back to it very soon. But for today, when lut follows, the pratyaya tasi comes. Very simple sutram. Syatasi r lutoho. In fact, now we are getting more and more into the Ashtadhyayi. Because don't forget, we also know 3132. Sanadyanta dhatavaha. So in between these two sections, so we just finished Sanadyanta dhatavaha, all the derived dhatus. From 315 to 3132, Sanadyanta dhatavaha. And then 3135 starts Am. So right then between there, we have this sutram. Chatasi luto. It's an apavada for shap, etc. Because those start from 3168, Kartari shap. Not too far away. So we are in very good territory right now. We are in a very familiar location. We are in a very familiar location. So now we should be thoroughly comfortable with this location. With the dhatu adhikaraha, you know that when certain pratyaya follows, then shap should be coming. But shap, we don't want shap or apavata or shap to come. Shap, shen, all those will be stopped. And when lut comes, only tasi will be used. So 3133, syatasi lr lutoho, syatasi lr lutoho, syatasi lr lutoho. Vritti says that dhatoho, adhikar of dhatu, following a dhatu, syatasi, etau pratyayostaha, lr lutoho parataha. Very, very straightforward. Very, very straightforward sutram. And right now we're going to focus on this part for today. Tasi, when lut follows. So what did we have? We had bhu plus ti. That ti came as an adesha in place of lut. So by sthanivat bhava, sthanivat adesha on vidhav, this also is a lut pratyaha. So now what happens? Instead of kartari shap coming, tasi comes here now. So we have bhu tasi plus ti. Now, remember the entire class we spent on 7235, we spent more than half a class we spent on that. At that time it looked like it was not much use, but now, starting now, it's going to be very useful. Why? Because the moment you have a pratyaya, which is val adi, val means what? Any consonant except yakara is val. So hal minus yakara is val, because of hayavarat, right? So any time for the rest of your life, if you add a pratyaya which has a sanya of ardhadhatukam, of course tasi qualifies for that because of ting shit sarvadhatukam ardhatukam sheshaha. So clearly dhatu iti vihita, let's not forget that, dhatu iti vihitaha, you should be prescribed saying dhatoho. Because of tasi we are using 3133. Adhikara of dhatoho. It is not ting or shit. So tasi is a pratyaya which is ardhadhatukam. Now that is also valadi, pustakaradi. Now we have to determine whether the id agama will be coming or not. First step 7235. Ardhadhatuka syed valadehe. So that says this should take idagamaha. But then, as I told you in that class, 2 classes back, that immediately after 7 to 35, always check 7 to 10. Those go together because 7 to 10 is going to stop 7 to 35 in a number of cases, and we spent almost a whole class on that sutram. So now we have to always keep on checking with 7 to 10 to give us the passage to apply 7 to 35. So one more time, the pratyaya tasi has the sanya of ardhadhatukam because of ardhadhatukam sheshaha. It is a val adi pratyaya. Therefore, by 7 to 35, ardhadhatuka syed valadehe, it should take a idagamaha. But we have to check with 7 to 10. Will that stop it? Will that stop it or not? And what does 7 to 10 say is that we saw 2 lists. Again, we'll not spend too much time again in this class because we have already done it in 2 classes back. It gives us 2 lists, the list suchi. So suchi, I should say, dual or suchyo. There are 2 lists over there. Which first list is that those dhatus which end in a which are ending in a ach, which allow an idagamaha, because generally speaking a dhatu ending in ach prayana for the most of them will not allow an idagamaha because of the fact that there is, if you look at the pronunciation, dhatu is ending in a ach and there's a pratyaya which is following, which is valadi. There's no need to bring an ikara in between to help pronunciation. On the other hand, the dhatu ends in a hal. The dhatu is, and the pratyaya is valadi. Let's take dhatu pat. When you say pat plus ta, become patata. it should become patita, will be more convenient. So bottom line is that dhatus ending in ach are mostly anit dhatavaha. They don't allow idagamaha. And dhatus ending in a hal are mostly set. Now we made a list of the exceptions. So the exception, what list of the exception will we see that time is that, so by that original logic, dhatu bhu should not allow nidagamaha. It's a did I say adi? I meant hanantyam dhatu. They're ending in and dhatu. Okay, one more time. Dhatu ending in a ach. Dhatu ending in a ach, most of them don't allow nidagamaha. And dhatus ending in a hal, most of them do allow. And we have made a list, we means Patanjali onwards, have made a list of the exceptions. So dhatu bhu ends in a ach. So as a first stop, you would expect it to not allow nidagamaha. But it's a part of the exceptions because we said that udrud antaihi vina. So the dhatus ending in long u or long ru, they are different from the norm. Because dhatu ending in a ach will normally not allow nidagama. There's no need for it. But these dhatu ending in long u or long ru, they are an exception to the norm. So they do allow nidagama. See, as far as Panini is concerned, the sutram is straightforward. 7 to 10. Ekacha upadeshanudattat. Very simple. So you have to go to dhatu pataha, see what the swara is, and you have to go from that. But for us, for convenience, from Patanjali onwards, this list has been made of those dhatus which end in ach, but which do allow idagama. And in that list, we said that ud, rud, antaihi. So dhatus ending in long u or long ru, they are said dhatavas. So therefore, this dhatu bhu. In fact, what we can also do as a double check, go to dhatu pataha. Look at the dhatu bhu. It has a udatta swara. Anudatta, there will be a line below it. This is anudatta. But the ukara of bhu is not anudatta. You understand that? The ukara of bhu has no line below it. It's not anudatta. It is udatta. So therefore, 7 to 10 does not apply in the case of dhatu bhu. That's the bottom line. The 7 to 10 cannot stop the idagama here because bhu is not. It is not a anudatta upadesha. It is a udatta upadesha. So 7 to 10 cannot stop 7 to 35. So this whole discussion was to remind you that 7 to 35 should be thought of all the time when you have a pratyaya which is val adi and which is a sanya ardhatukam. And along with 7 to 32, please immediately check 7 to 10. This is going to be like routine for us now. It's going to be routine. Now going forward, we won't repeat it all the time. So going forward, it's going to be automatic from now on. So idagama comes now, and of course the usual reminder is that the idagama comes to pratyaya, not the dhatu. Okay, please remember that. The dhatu only allows or disallows it. But the agamaha comes to the pratyaya, not the dhatu. So we get by adyanta takitau, we get the idagamaha by adhatukasya valadehe, anubandha lopaha, and it becomes itas. So we have bhu itas plus ti. Of course, the pratyaya itas. Remember, when agama is mitravad agamaha, the agama only comes and joins. So the new, it becomes like a part of the family. So the pratyaya is now itas. It's not like the it is separate and the pratyaya is separate. It comes and completely joins and becomes a part of the pratyaya. So now the pratyaya is now itas. The e is not a separate element. It is a part of the pratyaya tas. So the pratyaya is now itas. It's not a separate element. So itas is the pratyaya. So this itas is, of course, as we already discussed, sanya ardhatukam by ardhatukam sheshaha. So we can do sarvadhatuka ardhatuka yoho gunaha by 7384. Sarvadhatuka ardhatuka yoho guna adesha. So bhu becomes bho. And then of course we can do echo yavayavaha. Echo yavayavaha. It will become bhavitas plus ti. Bhavitas plus ti. So far what have we done? We add the pratyaya lut, I should say lut, be careful, lut. Then instead of shab coming in there, tasi came in there because of 3133. And then tasi took an idagamaha by 7235 because dhatu bhu is not anudatta padesha, it is udatta padesha. So 7 to 10 could not stop the idagamaha. Then we just did the gunadesha and echoyavayavaha. Now we need one more sutra to complete the form. That's the last sutram in 2485. In fact, that's the last sutram in the chapter 2 of Ashtadhyayi. The very last sutram of chapter 2 of Ashtadhyayi. In fact, it's like a joke of Panini, because the last sutram of chapter 1, if chapter 1, of chapter 1 of Ashtadhyayi, if you look at chapter 1, the last sutram of chapter 1 also is remember, and that one is the Viramo Vasanam. This is Panini's joke. Viramo Vasanam. So when nothing was Viramaha. So he gives Virama for chapter 1. Actually, I'm just joking because Panini did not make the Adhyayas of Ashtadhyayi. They probably came after Panini. Just like the Mahabharatam, the Adhyayas are probably not there. But so anyway, the way they split the Adhyayas is that the Virama Vasanam is the last sutram. That's the Viramaha. It's the Virama for chapter 1. So remembering sutram is easy. Viramo Sanam is the last sutram of chapter 1. For chapter 2, it is this sutram, which is Litaf Pratamasya Dara Urasaha. Litaf Pratamasya Dara Urasaha. So that is the last sutram, and immediately after that start Pratyaya Parascha, which of course we know. So Lutaha Pratamasya Dara Urasaha. Prathama Purushaha. In English, third person. So the third person singular, dual and plural respectively yatha sankam anudeshas samanam respectively take the adeshas da, rau and ras. Da, rau and ras. So what does that mean? The pratyatip will become da. Pratyatip will become da because it's coming over here is the I think it comes in this one. 1.3 is yatha sankham anudeshas samanam 1.3.10. So respectively yatha sankham anudeshas samanam. So the third person singular but the important to remember here is that it is both in atmane padam and parasya padam, both of either of them. So whether it's tip or tha becomes da. So if the tip or tha, the third person singular, pratham purusha ekavachanam, they take the adesha da, okay, but that's only if they are coming in place of lut. So the third person singular of lut takes the adesha of da, dakara, tritiya varnaha. The third person dual becomes rau and third person plural becomes ras. So one more time, lutaf pratamasya darau rasaha. Lutaf pratamasya darau rasaha. Lutaf pratamasya darau rasaha. Da rau ras iti ete kramatsyu. Yatha sankhya anudesha samanam. So when they come in place of lut, the third person affixes, which means the singular tip or the, either one of them, the dual tas or atam, and the plural g or jas respectively become da, rau or ras. Da, rau, rasaha. So what does that mean? You're going to get very similar forms in both atmane padam, parasya padam in the third person singular here now. So da, rau, rasaha. So let us see what we have right now. Bhavitas plus ti we have. That tip is a third person singular. Pratham purusha ekvachanam. It came in place of lut. It came in place of, so lutah prathamasya darau rasaha. You will get the da adeshaha. Of course, so da adesha anekachi sarvasya, it becomes ti becomes da, darau rasaha. Now what happens is that by chutu, pratyayadi, chavarga, tavarga, itsyat. So we get the it sanya for the dakara by chutu, tasya lopaha. So we got bhavitas plus a. Tas plus a. Now what happens is that at this point we want to do a T lopa of the angam. What's T lopaha? T lopaha means achontyadi T. You start from the last ach of the term and go to the end of the term. So this as is a T bhaga, is a T of the angam bhavitas. and we want to do a T lopaha here to get the form bhavita. But we want to use the sutram tehe, 64143 tehe. The sutram 64143 tehe. The tehe sutram says that, as we have learned, is that when we did this pratyaya, no, datara, datama, when we did this one, remember when we did this like anyat and when we applied, just to refresh our memory, we have used this sutram tehe before, because when we used it, when we applied 7125 adad jataradibhya panchabhya. So when we made the anyat, so anyat and itarat, if you want to refresh your memory, we have used a T lopaha, because when we had that adad pratyaya coming, there was a T lopaha of the angam. So we had a dit pratyaya following there. So when we had dit pratyaya, when we made the adeshas adad, then we got T lopa over there. So the su and they become adad, following these 5 pronouns, and that time we had T. So if you want to just practice and go back, look at the sutram which you try to draw the form anyat or itarat, and you will require the sutram tehe to be used. But now we have a problem. The sutram tehe, as we know by now, comes in the adhikara of bhasya, because we know bhasya starts from 64129 and goes to apada samaptehe up to the end of chapter 6, to end of 6.4, end of chapter 6. And when does angam get the bhasanya? By yachibham 1418. So swadeshvasarnamasthane yachibham. But right now we don't have swadi pratyaya at all, because swadi starts from 412. Su out, just some out, goes to end of chapter 5. Right now we have the pratyaya which is tip became da. So there is no pratyaya, swadi pratyaya here. So the angam bhavitas cannot get the bhasanya, because the pratyaya following is ajadi is fine, but it's not a swadi pratyaya. So because by 1417 and 1418, those two rules, which is swadishva sarvanamasthane padasanya, then yachibham bhasanya, but all that is only applicable swadishu. We don't have that right now. We don't have that, because swadi only starts from 412. Well, right now we are applying, in the dhatu adhikara we are in there. So we cannot get for bhasanya. But then the question comes that what is the prayojanam of this dakar as an it? What does Panini have in mind when he has used dakar as an it in the pratyaya da? Anyat prayojanam na sambhavati. Ti lopam vina. Anyat prayojanam na sambhavati dakarasya. So the dakara cannot have any other prayojanam except for doing T lopaha. So then vachana samarthya, the fact that dakara is an it has to signal a T lopaha, even though the angam does not have the bhasanya. So that is what is meant by ditva samarthyad abhasyapi ter lopaha. Ditva samarthyat. Samarthyam means on the strength, on the fact, on the strength of the fact that Panini has put the dakar as an it in the pratyaya, in the da, which came as an adesha for tip, that he's telling us that doesn't matter if the angam does not have the bhasanya. Still go ahead and do T lopaha, because otherwise the dit karanam vyartham syat. There will be no use for that. So one last time, the sutram tehe in the bhasya adhikara, we can only get bhasanya when the pratyaya following is swadi pratyaya from 412 to end of chapter 5. We don't have that right now. Then how can we use 64143? We are using it on the strength that Panini has put the dakar as an it, and that can have no other use besides T lopaha. So Vyakaranam says is that we means the grammarians. We means not this class. We means from Patanjali and Siddhanta Kaumudi, etc. They said ditva samarthyad abhasyapi ter lopaha. So on the strength that da is an it, dakar is an it, we use to T lopaha. So then what we get the form bhavita. So one last time dhatu was bhu, the pratyaya lut, not lut, but lut, anujyatane lut. And then we got the, instead of getting shap, we got the pratyaya tas by syatasi lutoho. Then we got the iragamaha, gunadesha echo yavayavaha. Then we did the tilopaha by ditva samratyat. Before that, we got the dara or rasaha. Lutaf pratamasya dara or rasaha. Now, when you look at the vivachanam, what happens is that we follow the similar steps. So when we look at lut, anadyatane lut, in the bhavishyati adhikaraha, anubandha lopaha, we get the pratyaya tas. Now, in the meanwhile, we get the tas in between, vasyatasi, lutoho, all the same steps, anubandha lopaha. Then we get the iragamaha for the tas pratyaya by ardhadhatukasya valadehe. And then what happens, we, of course, adyanta takitau, anubandha lopaha, we got bhu itas tas. All the same steps, nothing special so far. And then, of course, we get the gunadeshaha by 7384, sarvadhatukartakayoho. Then echo yavayavaha, we got bhavitas plus tas. At this point, what do we get? Lutaf pratamasya darau rasaha. Lutaf pratamasya darau rasaha. Lutaf pratamasya darau rasaha. That's the last sutram in chapter 2. We get the pratyaya, we get the rau adesha, because yatha sankyam, respectively. So dvivachanam will be rau adesha. So far we have bhavitas plus rau. Following all the same steps as in the ekavachanam. Only difference is that we get the adesha rau instead of da. So we have bhavitas plus rau. Now comes sutram richa. Richa. Look at the number of richa. We have a very good friend next door. We have a very good friend next door. Which is 7450. Which is tasastyor lopaha. Remember when we derived the form asi, tattvamasi. Remember next time you look at the Mahavakyam, tattvamasi. You can join this to that one. Tasastyor lopaha. When we have, remember tasastyor lopaha, which we have used previously, tasastyor lopaha. We got when we had a sakara di pratyaya pare, the sakara of tas or as takes lopaha. So when we're deriving the madhyam purusha ekavachanam in lat lakara for dhatu as, we had, after doing all the preliminary steps, we had as plus sip, and we got the sakara lopaha of the as, because tasastyor lopaha. At that time we said, don't worry about tas, we'll see it later. Well, later has come now, that is today. Now we're pratyaya tas. So same sutram, tasastyor lopaha. But that requires a pratyaya which is sakaradi. Right now we have a pratyaya which is rephadi, not sakaradi. So next sutram Panini says richa. Richa means same conditions, tasastyor lopaha, but rather than si, it's going to be richa. So which means that taserastescha sasya lopasyat radau pratyaya pare, because alone only the ending letter goes radau pratyaya pare. So if you can recall tasastyor lopaha, which we have used when we derived the form asi, which is madhya purusha ekvachanam lat of dhatu as bhuvi, then richa is just a simple extension of that. All it is saying is that the same condition, tasastyor lopaha, but instead of si, it is ri, which means radau pratyaya pare. So taserastescha sasya lopasyat radau pratyaya pare. It's a very simple extension of the prior sutram which we already know. So this is again how it helps to know the Ashtadhyayi well. If you know 7450, 7451 is very easy, very easy. Taserastescha sasya lopasyat radau pratyaya pare. So when the affix beginning, because remember it's in the angasya adhikaraha. We talk angakaram. We have gone to 7451 now. This is the Paninian system from the beginning, right? We put the building blocks in place in chapter 3, 4, 5, and we finish up those forms in chapter 6, 7, 8. And the angasya adhikaraha is 6, 4 up to 6, 4, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. What is angam? Angam, when you add a pratyaya, yasmat pratyaya vidhi, tadade pratyaya angam. Yasmat pratyaya vidhi. So these sanyas are very important. So now we jump to the angasya adhikara because we put the building blocks in place. Now we're going to finish up the form between the angakaryam. So this sutram says rado pratyaya pare tase rasteshcha sasya lopaha. So what did we have? We had the form bhavitas plus rau. We get bhavitarau. Tase rasteshcha Sasya lopaha rado pratyaya pare. So we did all the same steps. Instead of getting the adesha da, we got rau because it's vivachanam. We apply sutram richa. Again, we'll be getting a lot of examples and daily examples to practice all these rules. So even though they are sounding all new to you today, but they should not be that new if you make the proper connections. They should not be that new already. Even if they are new, don't worry. You will get a lot of practice examples. Once you study a sutram, for the rest of your life you have it. It's not going to be again and again, same thing over and over again. So when you say richa, now that richa, you're rich with that. You're rich with that sutram, richa. That same anuvritti of tasastya or lopaha, but instead of getting C, it is ri. Now that's all. So we get the form bhavitarau because we do have the sakara of tas. Again, check all the conditions like a lawyer. Sakara of tas followed by a pratyaya, which is the radi pratyaya. Then the sakara of tas takes lopaha, bhavitarau. Now, and similarly in bahuvachanam, we get bhavitaraha. All the same steps. The adesha will be ras. We get the form bhavitaraha. Now, time is running out. We'll look at the last two rules for today. See, this was the parasmanepadam. Now we'll look at the atmanepadam for a second. Atmanepadam. In atmanepadam, remember, the first three forms will be the same. With the da, rau, rasaha. They apply regardless whether the pratyaya is parasmanepadam or atmanepadam. That's the good news. So da, rau, rasaha doesn't matter whether the pratyaya is parasmanepadam or atmanepadam, the same da, rau, rasaha. Let's look at one example here. Let's take the dhatu labha. Do labhash praptau. Means to obtain something. Now let's see what we can do with this one when we have the pratyaya lut. The first few steps are always the same. Let's look at the madhyam purusha bahuvachanam. Why are we jumping to that? Why are we jumping to madhyam purusha bahuvachanam? Because the remaining forms you already know. We already know. This is the good news. When you do it the Paninian way, you have to memorize these tables. Like labdha, labdhara, labdharaha, labdha se, labdha sathe. Don't need to write memorization. No memorizing tables over here. We can derive these forms. Like on day one I told you is that like ask you to memorize the multiplication table. It's a waste of, you should not be doing that. If you know 2 times 3 is 6, you can derive that. No need to remember 2 times 3. You don't know to memorize 2 times 3 because you may forget tomorrow. How much can you memorize? 2 times 4 is 8. You can derive that, isn't it? Same thing here. The labdha, labdharo, labdharaha, labdha se, labdha sate, we can derive already. So we're jumping to the Madhya Purusha Bahuvachanam because a special sutram is coming over here. So only the Vishesha Karyam only we're going to see. What is Samanyam, you don't have to worry about anymore. Now what is the Vishesha here? Why are we taking something here? What is special about this form? We'll find out soon. Because when you take the Dhatu Labha, add the Pratyaya Lut, the same sutram, which is Anadyatane Lut. Anadyatane Lut. But this is the Bhavishyati Adhikaraha. So this is the future tense, not the immediate future, but a distant future. You can say like that. Now, Anubandha Lopaha, all the same steps. Add the Pratyaya Dvam, because this is Madhya Purusha Bahuvachanam, and because this dhatu is Anudatta Gnita Atmanepadam, this dhatu is Atmanepadi dhatu, so therefore we add the Pratyaya Dvam, because you take Atmanepadam. Now what we get? We get Tita Atmane Padanam Tere. Tita Atmane Padanam Tere. Let's not forget our old rules now. This Lakara is a Tit Lakaraha. So Tita Atmane Padanam Tere. Tita Atmane Padanam Tere. Okay, now that I'm mentioning this, let me mention one complication here now. The question which we should ask here is that, and we'll take more details in the daily examples, is that why did we not use this Tita Atmane Padanam Tere when we did Dara or Rasaha? Correct? Because that time, why did we conveniently forget this 3479? Because this 3479 is saying that when you have a tit lakaraha, lakar turns in it, then the T bhagaha should become a ekaraha. Titaha atmanipadanam tere. Now when we just derived happily these forms bhavita, bhavitaro, bhavitaraha, at that time how come we conveniently forgot this sutram tere? Okay, now the reason for this is like this. The reason given for that is that's a very good question. The reason given for that is essentially a complicated question. The reason is that remember the sutram thasas se, which comes right after the chitapadam tere. Now that becomes a nyapakam. The fact that Panini says thasas se and not thasas sa, because what Panini is saying is that after you do an adeshaha like that, don't apply the Titapadam tere on top of that. So when Panini takes the pratyaya away and puts a new thing in place of that, then on top of that we should not be doing the tere. How do we know that? Because if that were the case, Panini would have said thasas sa, not thasas se, because on top of thasas sa we could have applied again 3479 to make it se. Are you following what I'm saying? The fact that Pani is saying thasas se is giving us a clue, an indication that after a pratyaya is replaced completely by an adesha, on top of that we should not be applying 3479, because if he wanted us to apply 3479, the sutram would have been thasas sa, not thasas se. He already put thasas se in the sutram directly, because he does not want us into getting into the habit of applying the 3479 Titapadam tere on top of a adesha which has completely been done. So that is why the dara rasaha, they do not become subject to 3479. Titapadam tere does not apply on dara rasaha, even though the lakar is a tit lakaraha. Because of the nyapakam that Panini has given is when I make a substitution completely, don't touch it by 3479. That is why I'm putting the se directly in thasas se, to tell you that do not touch this adesha which I'm putting in place of this, ta atam ja pratyayas. Don't put the tere on top of that. That is why I'm putting the se directly there, rather than putting a sa and then asking you to put 3417 on top of that. I'm putting thasas se directly to tell you that don't touch these adeshas with the 3417, and that is why dara rasaha do not become subject to 3479. Okay, let's continue because time's running out. We only have 5 minutes left. So what's happening is that this dhvam pratyaya came to sort of tit lakaraha. So here this is only tiptaji. So dhvam has just come. It is not a adesha in place of another pratyaya. So the dhvam of course will be subject to 3479 Titapadam tere. So then it become dve. So this pratyaya is original. This is the original pratyaya in came of la. So lasya tiptaji, Titapadam tere becomes dve. Then of course we add the pratyaya tas. Now in this case though, 7 to 10 will stop the idagamaha. You stop the idagamaha. Why? As I told you that most dhatu which end in a hal, they allow an idagamaha, but for the list of exceptions. And in that list of exceptions is this dhatu labha. That's why I told you can paste this list on your wall, on your Vyakarana bhittau. Keep it there. You can read all the time. So this sutra says that dhanteshu krudha buddhya bandha yudha rudha radha vyadha shuddha. So here it is which labha, right? So dhanteshu krudha rudha. Oh, well, labha is not here. I'm sorry. Krudha Kshudha, Buddhya, Bandha, Yudha, Rudha, Radha, Vyada. Okay, I just said, I just said, Lava should be in this list. It is okay. You know what? Let's go to Dhatu Pata. Ravi, you know what's happening here, Ravi? Lava should be in this list, right? Lava is not in this list. Krudha, Kshudha, Buddhya, Bandha, Yudha, Rudha, Radha, Vyata. No, Lava is not here. Oh, I'm in the long list. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm in the Bhanteshu. I'm sorry. Bhanteshu list. Yeah, it should be here. Yabha, Rabha, Labhastarya. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Should be in the Bhanteshu. Because Dhatu Labha is a Bhanteshu, not Dhanteshu. There was a Bhranti on my part. So Labha. Labha is a Bhakaranta Dhatu. So Bhanteshu, Yabha, Rabha, Labhastarya. So three Dhatus which end in the Bhakara, and Labha is one of them, which do not allow Nidagama. They're Anudattopadesha. So one more time, I'm sorry for the confusion. Bhanteshu, Trayaha, Yabha, Rabha, Labhastrayaha. Not in Dhanteshu. Of course, Dhanteshu is Dhatu ending in Dhakara, but this is ending in a Bhakara. We look at this list, Bhanteshu, Yabha, Rabha, Labhastrayaha. So Yabha, Rabha, Labhastraya. So Labha is a dhatu, which is Anudattopadesha. So no idagamaha. No idagam. So no idagamaha. So now what happens is that we get Labha, Tas plus Dve. Now apply some Sandhi rules here. Is that firstly we get the, before we go to Sandhi rules, come the next sutram, which is Dicha. Dhadau pratyaye pare sasya lopaha. When followed by a pratyaya beginning with a dhakara, sakara takes lopaha. Let me give you an immediate warning over here. Do not confuse dicha and richa. They sound very similar, and they are used like back to back, so to speak, in the lut lakaraha. But please keep these two completely separate. Completely separate. The dicha and richa, they come in two completely different sections of the Ashtadhyayi. So this is one danger of studying these without the Ashtadhyayi. So in the Ashtadhyayi, the Sutram Richa, which we saw, it comes right after Tasistya or Lopaha. The Sutram Dicha is way back in chapter 8, Sutram Dicha. So that applies to any Sakaraha, not the Sakara of only Tas and As. Is dhadau pratyaya pare sasya lopasyat. So this dicha is a wider sutram. So one more time, please do not confuse dicha and richa. Please do not confuse dicha and richa. Richa comes right after tasastyor lopaha 7.451. Dicha comes in a tripadi section, and it applies to any sakara. Not only the sakara of tas and as, but dhadau pratyaye pare. Dhadau pratyaye pare. And I'll repeat it one more time. Do not confuse dicha and richa. Richa comes right after tasastya or lopaha, after 7.450. 50 comes 7.451, while the dicha comes in tripadi section. It is not only limited to tas and as. It comes for any sakaraha. Will drop. You follow a pratyaya, which is dhakaradi. So then right now what we have lab ta plus dve no idagamaha, because this is anudattu dhatu. So then what happens is that the sakara drops, because we have pratyaya, which is, again check all the condition. Dhadau pratyaye pare. Pratyaya dve, begin with a dhakaraha, so sakara will drop, and then we do some sandhi karyam, jashastator dhodhaha. This takara becomes a dhakaraha, because jashaha tatoho dhodhaha. We get dhakara deshaha, then of course jalam jashi labdha dve. So one more time, labha plus lut, we got the pratyaya dvam, then we did tita pipadanam tere, we become dve. Then idagama was stopped by 7 to 10. Ekachapasya because bhanteshu, it is those three dhatus, and one of them is labha, is one of them yabha, rabha, labha. bhanteshu, bhanteshu. So that idagama was stopped, and then dhicha, which please do not confuse dhicha with richa. Dhicha applies for any sakara, not only the sakara of tas and us, followed by dhado pratyaya pare. Then we did sandhikaryam chashastator dhodaha, and then jalam jaschashi, we got labdhadve. Okay, time is up. Last sutram for today is heti. Ha eti, I'm sorry. Ha eti. Ha eti. The same dhatu labh. When we take the uttam purusha ekvachanam. So ekvachanam, same steps. Add the pratyaya lut by anadyatane lut and anubandha lopaha. Get the it because of it is uttam purusha ekvachanam. So ta atam dvam, sorry, ta atam ja, then thas atam dvam idvahi mahi. So ta atam ja, thas atam dvam idvahi mahi. So id pratyaya comes in there. This id is a pratyaya. Don't confuse this place. It is a pratyaya. Anubandha lopaha. Here also same thing. Tita atmapadanam tere becomes ekaraha. Again the tas comes in here by satasi lulato. All these steps are all the same steps. Anubandha lopaha. No idagama because 7 to 10. But now Sutram says ha eti. Now we're going back to the same section of tasastyor. After richa comes ha eti. After richa comes ha eti. So tasastyor richa ha eti. So what the sakara of tas or us takes the hakara adeshaha, but eti means followed by an ekaraha. Followed by an ekara. So right now what we have labh, tas plus a. So at that time the sakara of tas becomes a hakara by ha eti. So tasastyoho, anuvritti from 7450, sasya hakara adesha syad eti parataha. Eti pare. So we get the ekaraha, the hakara in place of the sakaraha. And of course after that we get the same two rules, jashastator dhodha, and then jalam jaschashi labdha. So in this section is only one new rule, which is that when we have the sakara of tas or us followed by an ekaraha, then the sakara of tas or us becomes a hakara, ha eti, ha eti. And that's in the same sequence of tasastyor lopaha, richa, and ha eti. So let's stop with that. So again, this is Feb 11, Vyakarana Vibhagaha, first class. Next class is on Feb 25. Estu Mangalacharanam. Ramo Raja Manisada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bhiyata Nishachara Chamu Rama Tasmai Namaha. Rama Nasti Paranam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham. Rame Chittale Sada Bhautame Bho Rama Mamudhara. Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame. Sahasanama Tattalyam Rama Nama Varanane. Shri Rama Nama Varanana Undameti. We'll come back soon for the Ramayana in about 15 minutes. How are you doing, Ravi? Vasu, you doing fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good, Satish.
Okay. So we'll come back in 15 minutes for Ramayana. Okay. Thank you.